and a philanthropic foundation that carried his name in golden letters. Yet for all his wealth and global influence, he walked with a quiet heaviness that no money could lift. Every morning, before the city truly woke, he drove alone to Greenstone Cemetery and placed a single white lily on his wife Amelia's grave. She had passed 5 years earlier, taken by a sudden illness that even the world's best doctors couldn't stop. The world saw Elias as a man who had everything. He felt like a man who had lost the only thing that mattered. One cold November morning, as the sky hung low with gray clouds, Elias approached the familiar marble headstone, only to halt mid-step. Someone was already there. A young woman, dressed in a thin sweater and worn jeans, sat on the damp grass with her knees pulled tightly to her chest. Her long hair clung to her tear-streaked face. She wasn't leaving flowers or lighting candles. She just sat there sobbing quietly, her shoulders trembling. Elias rarely encountered anyone at this hour, and certainly not someone at Amelia's grave. His first instinct was confusion. Who was she, and why was she crying here? He cleared his throat softly so as not to startle her, but she jumped anyway and wiped her tears quickly, as if embarrassed to be caught. "I'm sorry," she whispered, standing abruptly. "I didn't mean to be in your way." "You're not in my way," Elias said gently. "But that's my wife's resting place. I visit every morning. May I ask why you're here?" The young woman hesitated, her lips trembling as she searched for the right words. I didn't know anyone came this early. I'll just go. I'm sorry." She brushed past him, head down, but something within Elias urged him to reach out. "Wait," he said quietly. "You were crying. Are you all right?" She froze, back still turned toward him, as if debating whether to stay or run. Then, slowly, she turned around. Her eyes were red but held an intensity that struck him deeply. "No," she whispered, "but I don't want to trouble anyone. Least of all a stranger." Elias stepped closer. Sometimes strangers are the safest people to talk to. The young woman took in a shaky breath, and for the first time, Elias noticed how thin she was, as if she hadn't eaten properly in days. Her sneakers were torn, and her fingers were blue from the cold. "My name is Elias," he said gently. "And you are?" "Lena," she murmured. "Well, Lena, would you tell me why you're here?" She looked at the gravestone, then back at him, and her voice cracked. "Because your wife saved my life, and I never got to thank her." Elias blinked, stunned. Amelia had been a teacher, kind, warm-hearted, beloved by many, but he had never heard this story. "How did she save you?" he asked softly. Lena exhaled shakily and sank back onto the grass. Elias sat beside her without hesitation. "I was 16, she began. "I lived in the neighborhood near Willowbrook High. My mother passed away when I was little, and my father, well, he wasn't much of a father. I used to sneak into the school library just to have somewhere quiet to sit. One day, your wife found me hiding between the shelves. I thought she was going to kick me out or send me to the principal, but instead she sat down beside me and asked why I looked so sad." Elias could almost see it. Amelia's warm smile, her patient eyes, her gentle voice. "I told her everything," Lena continued. "How I wasn't doing well in school, how I barely had food at home, how I felt invisible. And she didn't judge me. She said something I never forgot." Lena paused, chairs forming again. "Pain can shape you, but kindness can save you." That's what she said. She gave me food that day. And the next week, and the next. She helped me apply for a scholarship, and she checked on me every afternoon. I wouldn't have graduated without her. Elias swallowed hard, emotion surging through him. He had known his wife was extraordinary, but hearing the impact she had left, years later, on a stranger, moved him deeply. "She sounds exactly like the woman I loved," he said quietly. Lena nodded. "I come here sometimes to talk to her. When things get hard." "What happened?" Elias asked softly. "What brought you here today?" Lena's voice faltered. "I lost my job last month. My rent's overdue. I've been sleeping in my car. I feel like everything is falling apart again. And when I woke up this morning, I panicked. I didn't know where else to go, so I came here. To the only person who ever really saw me." Her words struck Elias like a blow. The world had been mercilessly cold to so many while he lived surrounded by comfort. Amelia, whose heart had been bigger than her salary, had done more for this young woman than Elias had even known. He looked at Lena with a softness that surprised even himself. "I'm glad you came," he said quietly. "I think Amelia would be, too." Lena wiped her cheeks again, embarrassed. "I didn't mean to intrude on your grief." "You didn't," Elias assured her. "You gave it meaning." For a long moment, they sat in silence, the crisp wind fluttering the edges of Amelia's headstone. Elias felt something shift inside him, something warm and painful and freeing all at once. It was the feeling of seeing his wife's legacy still alive in another person's heart. "Lena," he said carefully, "do you have anyone who can help you right now?" She laughed softly, without humor. "Not really. I never had many people. And the ones I had, drifted away." "Then let me help you." Lena's eyes widened. "No, sir, I didn't come here expecting anything. I just needed somewhere to breathe." "I understand," Elias said gently, "but my wife believed in lifting people up. If you were important to her, you're important to me." His sincerity made Lena break again, quiet sobs shaking her shoulders. "I don't want to be a charity case," she whispered. "You're not," he said. "You're someone who needed a chance. And I can give you one." He gave her his card and told her to come to his office that afternoon. She looked at the elegant embossed letters like they were written in another language. "You mean, like a job?" she asked. "A job, yes," Elias said. "But also stability, guidance, support, everything Amelia would have wanted for you." That afternoon, Lena walked into the Warren Corporation headquarters wearing borrowed clothes from a shelter. She looked terrified, but Elias greeted her with genuine warmth. He showed her around, introduced her to his staff, and explained that she would work with the Community Outreach Department, a division that Amelia had helped him design years ago. Lena stared at him in disbelief. "Why would someone like you do this for someone like me?" Elias answered simply, "Because someone like my wife believed in someone like you. And because I should have done more like this long ago." Over the next weeks, Lena flourished. She arrived early, stayed late, and poured her heart into every task. She brought a sensitivity to the outreach programs that Elias had never seen. She understood struggle, invisibility, hunger, fear. She knew how to talk to the people they were trying to help because she had been one of them. The staff adored her, clients trusted her, and Elias, he found himself looking forward to their conversations more than he expected. One evening, months later, as they walked out of the office into the golden hue of sunset, Lena stopped and said, "I don't think I've ever told you this properly, but thank you. You changed my life." Elias shook his head slowly. "No, Lena, you changed mine." She looked at him, confused. "When Amelia died," Elias said, "I lost my sense of purpose. I built buildings, signed contracts, made donations, but nothing filled the emptiness. I felt like I was living in shadows. Meeting you, hearing what she did for you, it reminded me what she lived for. What truly mattered to her. You brought me back to that." Lena felt tears gather, but this time they were warm, not cold. Healing, not breaking. "I think she'd be proud of both of us," she whispered. Elias nodded. "I hope so." Their story didn't end there. Over the next year, Elias expanded his foundation, focusing on youth in crisis. He placed Lena at the head of a major program, a role she excelled in. She became a voice of compassion in spaces that desperately needed one. Schools invited her to speak. Shelters asked for her guidance. She was living proof that one act of kindness could change the trajectory of a life. And every year, on the anniversary of Amelia's passing, Elias and Lena visited her grave together. They placed lilies and roses. They shared stories. They remembered. One year, standing in the soft breeze of early spring, Lena looked at Elias with gentle eyes. "You know," she said, "I used to come here because I felt alone. Now, I come here because I feel connected." Elias placed a hand over his heart. "That connection is what Amelia always wanted for the world." Lena nodded, taking a breath filled with gratitude. "She saved me once, but you saved me again." Elias smiled softly. "We saved each other." Life moved on, not in the way that erases pain, but in the way that honors it, transforming it into something meaningful, something bright. Lena grew into a leader who lifted others just as Amelia had once lifted her. Elias rediscovered the joy of giving not from a distance, but up close, heart to heart. The foundation they built together became a beacon for thousands of young people who felt lost or unseen. And somewhere, in the quiet corners of memory, Amelia's legacy continued to live, not in buildings or plaques, but in small acts of kindness that rippled outward like light on water. One stranger at a grave had revealed a secret of compassion, resilience, and hope. And from that secret, 2 lives had been rewritten. In the end, the transformation wasn't only Lena's or Elias's. It was the transformation of grief into purpose, of sorrow into connection, and of 2 broken hearts finding strength in remembering the same extraordinary woman. A reminder to the world that kindness, even when unnoticed, lives on in ways more powerful than we ever imagine. And that sometimes, the people who change our lives most deeply are the ones we meet by accident, or the ones we think are gone forever.